A few weeks ago, we did a review of the Nikon Z6 II, and today we're going to do a sequel to that video and have a look at the Nikon Z7 II. We're going to venture out of here and head into the city CBD to go to Darling Harbour and have a look at how the camera performs in a high-paced environment. Now also, we're going to be looking at the Nikon 50mm 1.2 as well. We're going to see how good this lens is in low light and also what kind of bokeh it can produce. Let's go. So for today's review of the Nikon Z7 II, we're going to do our standard overview for our reviews. So firstly, we're going to look at the external features of the Z7 II, the internal features, and then we're going to take it out for a quick road test and share some samples. So let's go over the external features of the Nikon Z7 II. So like the Z6 II, the body share basically the same upgrades. So firstly, you now have a dual card slot configuration. The first one is the CF Express / XQD slot, and you have an SD slot as well. So if you want to shoot with backups, or like today, we're using a CF Express card because we want to shoot super fast, that's the slot to use, and that's the memory card you should buy if you really want to shoot not only 4K 60, but also shoot with high buffer rates. And like the Z6 II, it sports the same battery. It uses an EN-EL15C, which basically gives you high capacity compared to the EN-EL15B and enables in-camera charging as well. Now at the bottom, you can see there are some circular pins, and that will allow you to plug in a Pro battery grip, which will give you extra buttons such as the scroll wheel so that you can use to adjust your settings. You also have a record button and your shutter button as well. It's a full-fledged battery grip that you would expect for a professional camera. And on the side of the camera, you have your standard ports. You've got a headphone port, a microphone port, USB-C, mini HDMI, as well as a remote port. At the back of the camera, you basically have the same configuration. So you have your display buttons, your info buttons, you have your little navigation button. The screen is fully tilting as well. So you can tilt it down, you can tilt it up, and it's touchscreen as well. So if you're going to browse through your photos or navigate through menus or settings, you can use the screen to do that. And at the top, you've got your top settings screen and a really bright and very clear and lag-free electronic viewfinder, which is a slight improvement from the already good electronic viewfinder from the Nikon Z7. And now to go over the internal features of the Nikon Z7 II, and this is where the major changes come in. It still uses its 45.7 megapixel beer-sized CMOS full-frame sensor. However, it's now backed up with two EXPEED 6 image processors, and this gives you a bounty of upgrades to the Nikon Z7. The first one is probably one of my favorites, and it's the high image buffer. So the Nikon Z7 II can now shoot 10 frames per second, but now sports a high-res image buffer of 77 images, which is 3.3 times larger than the Z7, giving you strong capacity to use this as an action camera or a wildlife camera, or if you're a wedding photographer and you really need that fast action shooting, then the Z7 can now support that. Earlier today, we were going out, we were shooting a tram out the front and just some people around the area in front of the store, and I can tell you the image buffer is fantastic. Paired up with that shooting speed, and you have a really good, seamless action shooting experience. Secondly, talking about the video aspects for the Nikon Z7 II, it does jump up from the Nikon Z7. So firstly, you can record 4K up to 60 frames per second, and if you're a slow motion lover, you can record full HD video up to 120 frames per second. Now, some other cool features you can unlock in the Z7 II when using a Atomos recorder like we are today. You can record N-Log and also have the ability to record RAW video. One of the biggest improvements in the Nikon Z7 II is its ability to use eye autofocus. Now in the Z7 II, you can use eye autofocus continuously in video as well as wide area autofocus. And to test this, what we did was we got the camera set up on a tripod, and I basically moved around and tested eye autofocus in two new focus modes. So the Nikon Z7 II boasts a human tracking and animal tracking. So we tested, obviously, the human tracking to see how the eye autofocus performance works on that, and also the wide area autofocus mode. Now, as you can see, between the two, the eye autofocus in the human tracking actually worked out a little bit better, in saying that the wide area does do a pretty good job. Now, in saying that, both of these track pretty well no matter where I was moving left or right, forward or backwards. The eye autofocus system did a good job of locking it onto my eye. And lastly, a great feature about the Nikon Z7 II is you can upgrade the camera's firmware via the SnapBridge app. This prevents you having to get out a spare SD card and downloading some firmware onto it and then plugging into your camera. It's just a more user-friendly experience doing it through a phone app and getting it to do everything for you. Now talking about the performance of the Nikon Z7 II. The Nikon Z7 II is a great camera. You've got all the features that you need, as well as the hardware such as the full frame sensor and the double processors to get you the photos and videos that you need in high resolution. Now, one of my favorite features of the autofocus when I'm out on the field is, apart from the eye autofocus tracking, is the ability to focus in low light. So we went down to Piedmont Bridge and we shot under the bridge just in some shadows and in some darker areas in the city, and we noticed that the autofocus was quite snappy and works pretty well. Now, Nikon claimed that the Z7 II can actually focus in lighting conditions as low as -3 EV, giving you the flexibility and confidence to shoot in those overcast days or even in a dimly lit room. So my final thoughts on the Nikon Z7 II. Honestly, I don't really have much to fault with the Z7 II, apart from why didn't it come out sooner. But the 50mm 1.2, although for me it is compact, for some people it might look a bit long and a bit big on such a small camera. However, with the image performance that it sports, it's fantastic. Now, in summary, who do I think this camera is for? It's definitely for enthusiasts and professionals. It's jam loaded with features that give you high resolution photography and a lot of flexibility with video, but the way that they've put in all the features for the professionals, you've got your dual SD card slots, you've got your option to add that pro battery grip. It finally makes a viable option for professionals looking to go from the F-mount system. If they want to ditch that and go mirrorless, the Z7 II can support you in that regard. All round, it's a fantastic camera filled with amazing features, and that improvement in autofocus and continuous eye autofocus in video and photo, I think this makes the Z7 II a fantastic package. If you have any questions on the Nikon Z7 II, pop them in the comments below. Alternatively, if you're in Sydney, make sure to drop into our store and ask one of our friendly staff for all your expert advice needs. Now, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, as well as our written blog to stay up to date with what's going on with George's, but also to stay up to date with all our latest events and upcoming giveaways and competitions. And as always, if you enjoyed our video, hit the like button and the subscribe button to stay updated with our future videos.